From weekend getaways to extended road trips, California is full of places to explore. And for over 100 years, the Auto Club has been there to help. Our travel agents offer you expertise regarding destination information, trip planning and reservations, either in office, on the phone, or online. Across the state, throughout the country, or around the world. Through all life's travels, we're always with you.
Road Trip has been made possible by the Automobile Club of Southern California.
Well, hello everybody, I'm Huell, and here we are early Sunday morning in Eureka, California, up on our northern coast. And I'm standing here with Ruthie Yaley. And Ruthie, tell everybody where we are, because this is a very historic spot.
Yes, it is. You're in a 107-year-old original cookhouse. We're the last surviving cookhouses of Northern California, the Northwest, actually.
A cookhouse. Now, explain what a cookhouse is.
The cookhouses were originally set up to feed the single men, because if you were married, of course, you had the wife to take care of you, to feed them for the workers throughout the country, actually, as well as the mining, logging, etc.
So the people connected with the logging industry up here in the northwest part of our state, around Eureka, would have eaten breakfast, lunch, and dinner here before they went out to do their work.
Correct. Actually, this one here was set up for the mill workers. Vance Lumber Company originally built the cookhouse, the town, and the mill. Bunkhouses were set up out along the side of the cookhouses, and the men lived there. The waitresses lived upstairs, were served, and the guys came in.
Really? Well, now here we go over here. We got a full house this morning. You're used to a lot of happy, hungry people coming in here, aren't you?
Oh, yes. You definitely want to be hungry when you come into the cookhouse.
Well, now we're hungry, and look what Ruthie fixed up for us. Describe what we've got there on one plate.
Well, this morning we're having French toast, scrambled eggs, link sausage, biscuits, and gravy. This would be for one person. Seconds and thirds, fourths, keep on going until you're good and full.
And the way it works, is it done family style, or how does it work?
We serve just how the guys were served, big bowls and platters of food. It's considered family style in the present day.
And is this what they would have eaten back then in the 1890s and early 1900s? They wouldn't have had French toast, would they? That's kind of she.
Basically, they would, because they did a lot of bread baking, and the eggs were fresh products. There was an old sausage maker that made sausages, bacon, whatever the availability of the food to them. So things varied with the different seasons.
So the lumber mill workers ate well.
Oh, very well, very well. Basically, workers back then used to follow the cooks, and if you were a good cook, you'd go there, they would work.
And you got good cooks here.
Oh, you betcha. After 107 years, they've got it down in that kitchen.
Now look in here. We got a little bit of kind of a museum thing going in here.
Yes, we have the museum off to the side of the cookhouse, and old historical pictures throughout it.
And you've got all the old logging equipment over here.
This is the logging equipment. Lots of just old antique switchboards. That's the old Crenelle Bell, which was an old logging town that's no longer in existence. For their school, different items such as that.
So people like to eat breakfast and then kind of walk it off by coming in here and looking through the museum.
That, or they go to the recovery room, one of the two.
Yeah, because I have a feeling you'd want to take a nap after you ate in here. And look over here, we got a little private dining room over here. And did everybody enjoy their breakfast? You full? You got enough, didn't you? I don't think anybody ever complains about not having enough, do they?
No, they don't.
Now, is this homemade bread?
This is the cookhouse bread. We bake it fresh every day. We use the old pans, which I think makes it so mouth-watering.
Oh my gosh. Boy, I tell you what, this is a dangerous place to hang out.
Sometimes.
This is a dangerous place.
Sometimes.
All right, now, do you know why we're here? Do you know why we're having breakfast here this morning?
Because I hear that you're on your way up the coast. And
you know where we're heading?
No.
We're in search of the exact northwest corner of California. I mean the exact spot. Do you know where that is?
Ooh, you got to be close. No.
Well, you know, it's how far do we still have to go?
To the Oregon border?
Yeah.
78 miles.
78 miles. All right, so it's somewhere about 78 miles north of here.
There you go.
When we find it, that'll give us another excuse to come back
There you go.
and tell you that we found it.
I'd like that.
That is, if we ever get started, because as soon as we cut the cameras off, we're going to chow down on this. This should give us enough energy to get us up there, don't you think?
After a nap, yes.
Okay, so we're going to eat breakfast, take a nap, and then we're going to start our journey. We're going at least 80 miles north of here in search of the exact northwest corner of California. You know, I really hated to leave the old cookhouse, but after a true lumberjack breakfast full of history and calories, it was time to hit the road. Now, we were heading north from Eureka right along the coast through some beautiful country and looking forward to our first stop. Well, here we are. We have arrived in Crescent City, and it is one of those typical windy, blustery, chilly North Coast mornings. But that's okay, our spirits are high because our first stop on this adventure is right over there. That's the Battery Point Lighthouse, and a beautiful little lighthouse it is too, sitting out there. And we have chosen to come here at this particular time because for a lot of the time when the tide is up, that lighthouse sits on what becomes an island. But right now, the tide is down, the pathway is clear, and that lighthouse is our first stop in search of the northwest corner of California. Her skirts are blowing out here. This is very authentic, isn't it?
Yes, it is. That's what they wore in those days.
Good morning, I'm Huell Hauser.
Morning, we're Larry and Nancy Schneider.
And you are officially the keepers of the lighthouse. Is that your title?
Yes, it is. That is our title.
Now, have there always been, because is this still an active lighthouse?
Yes, it is. You'll see our lights on right now. 3.5 seconds off 26.5.
Now, have there always been people living in this lighthouse since it was opened in 1856?
1856, 144 years. It's always been occupied.
Unbroken.
Unbroken.
Wow. And I've seen pictures from 140 years ago, and it looks to me like the little lighthouse looks pretty much exactly like it did when it was built.
That's our job. We're trying to restore it to keep it like it was. Recently, the chimney caps were added because they'd blown off in a storm a few years back.
Well, speaking of blowing off, I got to tell you. Now, see, for those of us who live in Southern California, this is what we think of when we think of the northern coast. Windy, cloudy.
But we have our beautiful days too, though.
Uh-huh.
Really nice.
Have you
Sunshine.
had any lately?
Oh, yes.
Yesterday.
Yes. Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Was nice. Yeah.
The ocean laid flat. It was teal, and there wasn't any wind.
Well, I think maybe nature is trying to give us an idea
That's right.
of why these lighthouses were needed,
Yes.
because this obviously was a very dangerous part of the coast, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. A lot of ships wrecked here.
Very
Really?
rocky shoreline. Very bad.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, who runs the place now? I know you live in it, but
Dilnord Historical Society owns it. We occupy it and maintain it for them.
so it's not a Coast Guard lighthouse.
No, but if the light's out, my husband takes care of the light, and if it's out, he has to call the Coast Guard in San Francisco.
Ah, so you're literally not only dressed like a lighthouse keeper, you're doing the duties of a lighthouse keeper.
That's right. Yes. Make sure the light's going.
And we talked earlier about the fact that a lot of the time you sit on an island out here.
Yes, twice a day. There's 2 high tides and 2 low tides a day, so twice a day we're an island.
You're totally isolated out
That's
here.
exactly right.
Do you have a little boat in case you need to go to town when the tide's up?
No boat.
Let
So
me
you wouldn't want
ask
to take
you,
a boat across
Would
that.
you take a boat out there on a day like today?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay.
In fact,
We just wait the tide out.
I got you. So the tide's up what? 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day?
No, it's about
Well, right
Well-
now it's probably about
It's in the
4 or
summer.
5 hours a day.
Twice a day?
Yeah.
Summer. In the wintertime, it gets deeper. It'll get up to 8 feet high coming across. And sometimes the water's from ramp to ramp in the winter, and you're home. The longest we've been stranded here is 10 days.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I got to tell you, it's nice standing out here looking at the little lighthouse. But I think we've gotten enough of the atmosphere and the cold weather. Let's go inside. Have you got a fire going, or have you got cocoa on the stove? Or
We heat with a wood stove. We have the
Really?
wood stove going.
all right, we're going inside to warm up.
Good.
Oh boy, it's toasty in here.
Yeah, we heat with wood here, so it makes a nice warm, dry heat.
Yeah, but you got look at this, a brand new refrigerator, a brand new stove. Now this isn't authentic.
Well, I wish it was. I have a wood stove. I wish we did have it here to cook on.
Oh, come on. I think you're probably glad for a few modern conveniences, aren't
Especially
you?
the microwave.
Really?
Yeah, right.
Now this would have been the actual kitchen.
Yes.
Back in 1856.
This burned off in 1879, so this is a kitchen from 1879. They had a stove. They had waves that year that were so bad it came down the chimney of the wood stove, blew it up, and burned this building off.
Really?
So it's been rebuilt since 1879.
Now you were telling me that these windows, you literally look out the windows and you can see the storm coming down the coast.
Yes, sometimes we'll see a storm coming, and we'll just wait till it gets here and passes us before we go out.
And look at these rocks up here. I mean, there are a lot of rocks all the way up and down the coast.
A lot of those are called tide rocks. We can tell from in the house where the tide is, whether it's safe to go out yet or not.
I gotcha. All right, the kitchen. Now we move into the, we've never been in a lighthouse that's actually being lived in at the time. This is like, well, this is your house.
Yes, it is. This is our living room.
Now this would have been the original fireplace. Look at that screen over this. What is this?
That's a fireplace there. Right now it isn't in use, but that's what they used to heat for back
But
in
I
the
mean,
old days.
this rock that's
rock
that's
is
in the
inlaid
side of the.
Yeah, inlaid rock in the fireplace.
Wow. So that's original as well.
Yes.
Yes,
huh?
and it has extra heavy fire bricks so you can burn driftwood because it burns 5 times hotter than normal wood because of the salt.
So you burn driftwood here.
Yes, we do.
Now I guess you've got plenty of it to choose from. You never run out of wood, do you?
Yeah, lots of driftwood every year. The rivers back up, the ocean brings us all the treasures.
All right, now this is downstairs. You got a little gift shop and all that over there. But we want to go up the stairs. Look at this, Louie. The stairs are here, and we're going up the stairs of the lighthouse. Now, I know you probably get tired of walking up these stairs, but for us, it's an adventure just climbing up. It's kind of nice going up the
Yeah,
stairs.
it is. Keeps you in good shape too.
Now this,
You just kicked the chamber pot.
uh-oh, I did. I kicked the chamber pot. So this really is an authentic, now this looks the way a room would have looked like, doesn't it?
It's got the period furniture in it too. It's not from that time, but it's the same era.
It's as close as we can get.
A point of interest here is that you'll see how large the furniture is, and you know it doesn't come up and down the stairs. Had to all be unassembled and brought through that window.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. They couldn't have gotten this up those stairs.
Or this bed.
Wow. And this would have been, all of this would have been here.
Yes. Yes, they heated with the stove. We use the stoves yet today.
Now this is nice.
Thank you.
I mean, this would have been a good life, wouldn't it?
I think it was, and they paid them $600 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And our government supplied all their food, all their clothes, and we gave them $600 a year. If someone bought all your food and clothes, you wouldn't need to work, right?
Well, it's nice. Now, who stays in here? Is this your bedroom?
Yes, this is our room. And we've tried to make people feel that this is how they lived in those days. We have handmade quilts. That quilt's over 150 years old.
Is this part of a tour people can take? Do they get to come up and... Isn't that kind of funny, having people trounce through your bedroom every day?
They want to see how you really live. They'll even open your cupboards and go into your bathroom. They want to see how you really live.
Well, we haven't done that so far. But I'm sure you cleaned everything up knowing we were going to be here.
No, we clean it every day because the public's here every day.
I got you. Okay, moving on from the chamber pot, we have now come back outside the lighthouse. And Nancy, what kind of questions do visitors ask you when they stop by? What do they want to know? Did they ask the same things we asked today?
Yes, do you really live there? Is this really your house?
So they can't believe that somebody still lives in a lighthouse.
That's right. That's right.
What else do they ask?
They want to know if we like living out here. How do we get our food here? Do we take a boat back and forth to shore? And we tell them we carry it in our backpack. My husband walks out every day with a backpack on.
So they're asking a lot of practical, living in the lighthouse kinds of questions.
Right, they certainly are.
Do they think you have plumbing and conveniences out here? Do they think you're roughing it?
They ask if we're drinking the water that comes off the eaves, or do we have some other way to drink? And they always, the first thing is when we tell them that the eaves are lined with lead and bird droppings, the first thing they say is, we're not thirsty.
Where does your water come from?
We have city water. It comes overland on a stainless steel cable from here to the parking lot.
Oh, okay. And this would have been the way they got it in the past, wouldn't it? And just put it in those big tanks.
That's right. The water holding tanks fill from the eaves.
Well, this has been a lot of fun. I guess we're looking, this is straight due north. We're looking straight up the coast now, aren't we?
Yes, you are.
And there's the little town of Crescent City, kind of nestled here on the coast. This is an absolutely beautiful setting.
Thank you.
People would give anything to live where you all are living. Do you get offers for people to take over?
Yes, all the time. If you'd like to take a few days off, we'll move in.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So there are plenty of people willing to house sit for
Yes,
you.
they are. They make we have a big long list, as a matter of fact.
So I won't even bother asking. We've had a lot of fun. Now, you know why we're here. We're here in search of the northwest corner of California, and you have informed us that we're not there yet.
That's true. You still have over 20 miles to go to get to the northern border between Oregon and California.
So why did people tell us to come to Crescent City?
Well, it's the last town before you hit the Oregon border.
Ah, but we've still got 20 miles to go
That's right.
Right.
before we get to the border.
That's right.
Well, I'm glad we got confused and pulled over.
Well, so are we.
This has
Thank
been
you.
a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Our journey continues. We're now going to head up the coast 20 miles, and we're not going to stop until we get to the exact northwest corner of California. Continuing our journey north on Highway 101, it began to sprinkle on us a little bit. Not much, but enough to use the wipers. Now, we were heading to our next scheduled stop in the community of Smith River, when all of a sudden we spotted something on the side of the road that definitely grabbed our attention. It looked like a big ship on shore. Well, needless to say, we pulled over and checked this thing out. Hi, I'm Huell Hauser.
Ray Mollison.
Nice to meet you. Now, how are you connected with Ship Ashore?
Well, I just leased a gift shop from the Westbrook family. They own the ship.
Well, tell me the story. What is a ship doing ashore?
Well, I guess Joe Sierra, the guy had a dream, and he went down to Oakland and bought this and brought it up to make a bar and restaurant of it back in 1950. And he brought it up and he put it in here on the river, and there was a real good bar and restaurant, but it wasn't big enough. So they moved it up here to make a gift shop, and they built a new restaurant lounge down there. It was a lot bigger than this one.
Now, when did they drag it up here?
1965.
So it's been sitting here on the side of 101 since 1965.
Yep, so 35 years.
Now, did it used to be, what did it used to be when it was a ship?
It was a private yacht originally. Then the Navy took it, confiscated it, and took it over during the Second World War. And they kept it till the war was over, and then they scrapped it.
And then this guy just found it down in Oakland and brought it up here to Smith River.
Right.
Now, what do people say when they come in here off the side of the road? They see this ship just like we did.
Everybody thinks the tidal wave of '64 washed it up here.
So people are wondering what the heck is going on in here.
How they got it up here, that's the most asked question.
Now, you've got a little museum downstairs that has a little bit of everything in it.
Everything you can find, almost.
Where'd all this stuff come from?
Oh, the Westbrooks collected it over the years. Hank and Chopper, and over the last, since they bought it in '64. And they've collected that stuff ever since. And
I mean, there's a Nazi war uniform down there.
yeah, that was a gift, that one. But most of the stuff they've bought and paid for.
Well, it's an interesting place. Is there it is different, isn't it?
It's different.
You don't expect, we're on our way to the corner of California. That's where we're heading.
Well, you got 3 miles to go. That's all.
I know we're heading our way, but there's no way we could pass by this and not come in.
Well, thanks for coming in.
You got a souvenir for us? Is there something that's a good souvenir of Ship Ashore?
Sure, it costs you $1.
All right. Well, we can afford $1. What you got?
We'll have to look something up for you.
All right, we'll find something. You got plenty to choose from here. The souvenir shop is full. There's nobody else here, though.
Yeah, there will be.
Kind of a slow day.
So far, but it'll pick up.
Leaving the Ship Ashore gift shop and museum, we were still in the community of Smith River, but we left Highway 101, drove down a county road, and arrived at a ranch. Now, we'd heard a lot about this place because this ranch grows something both beautiful and unique to this particular area of our state. Well, I'm standing here with John Westbrook, and John, this is a very interesting chapter in the story of what's going on up here in the corner of California. Tell us what we're seeing right now. What is this place?
Well, this is a unique form of agriculture. It's very high intense labor-wise. These are Easter lilies, and right now most people picture Easter lilies with a full blossom, white and gorgeous. We're picking these blossoms off in an early stage that you can see right now.
Oh yeah, here they are right here. You're picking
picking them off before they go to flower. In this, what it does, it stops the growth to the top of the plant and turns the energy towards the bulb itself, and therefore gives us a little earlier bulb and a little more mature. It's easier to force in the greenhouses.
So no matter what time of year we came here, we're not going to see this beautiful big field of Easter lilies.
Not like you used to, that's right.
This is something new you've learned, to pick the buds off before they bloom.
Yes, this is, it's pretty new. It's been done, 10 years or so. We always used to let it flower, and we had big festivals, and it was beautiful. And but that's gone by the scientific way by now. It just can't afford to do it anymore.
Now, this is extremely interesting to me because I don't think most people, when they think of Easter lilies, think of California. How did California become the Easter lily capital of the world?
Well, this is a unique form of agriculture, isolated right here, Northern California and Southern Oregon. But it came about just after the war, during the war, when there was the embargo against Japanese. They couldn't ship in any bulbs to the United States.
So the Japanese were the lily growers?
Yes, that's right. They produced all the lilies that were supplied to the United States. And what happened, there was a few lilies left over here, and they searched all over the United States to try to find a place, similar area that had the same type of climate as the islands that they were growing. And they came up with the West Coast here, and they grew them from Portland to San Francisco, and it just kind of got tighter and tighter and tighter, and they'd freeze out in one area, and then they'd get too hot in another area, and so on. Too much rain, not enough rain, until it came right down to this little area, and it's just a strip that maybe 8 or 10 miles long here. There used to be 100, 150 small growers, and it's like any other industry. Now we only have 9 or 10 growers. Not many more lilies, the same amount, just bigger farms.
And this little area, this little strip of the coast, is responsible for growing what percentage of the Easter lilies in the United States?
Well, somewhere between 95 and 99%.
That is amazing.
Yeah, we've been able to hold on to that market by increasing our efficiency. So we've been able to compete with Holland lilies and some Japanese now too. But
and it's all because of this little microclimate. It doesn't get too cold here?
Exactly.
I'm freezing, but I'm from Southern California.
Well, this is kind of our normal temperature. Usually we have a little better sun than this, but yes, it very seldom freezes and very seldom gets over 85 degrees. Lots of fog, lots of rain. It's not uncommon to get over 100 inches of rain here.
kidding.
Yeah, sometimes 120 inches of rain. That's 10 feet of rain, so.
Ooh, but the lilies love it.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Well, we're standing here watching the workers. It's a very highly, intensely personal kind of a thing, isn't it? They have to actually, it's all done by hand.
Yes, there's a lot of hand labor. We use these same machines. They're called creepers, and they take 8 people, and they just move along at just a creeper pace.
Picking off the buds.
Yes.
And then these plants will be potted and shipped all over the United States.
Actually, what we do, we ship the bulbs. We'll dig a bulb, and it's kind of like a potato industry. We'll take and wash these bulbs, and we'll put them in a box with peat moss. A little more care than they do in a potato, I suppose. But we package them very carefully, and we'll ship them to different greenhouses. And the greenhouses, they have to go through a cooling process before they'll flower on time. But they'll go to a greenhouse, and then they're forced. Easter, of course, doesn't come on the same day every year. So they have to either force them slow or fast, depending on when Easter comes.
Well, it's an amazing story. Thank you very much. Now when we get our Easter lilies, we'll know that they all, well, most of them, 99% of them came
Yes, they do.
from right here, just a few miles from the northwest corner of California. The sky was getting darker and the rain was coming down harder as we left the historic lily fields in Smith River for the final leg of our adventure. And when we finally did arrive at the location, we had to wait a while inside the car for the rain to let up. But we'd come this far and nothing was going to stop us. Okay, now we're getting down to it. We're standing out on the side of Highway 101 with, gentlemen, introduce yourselves to us.
You know, Steve Cunha, and I'm a professor of geography at Humboldt State University.
Okay.
Chris Haynes, I'm a lecturer at Humboldt State University in the geography department.
Okay, so this is academic here. We're serious about finding this corner of California.
We're not messing around at all. We're here to get the job done.
All right, because, you know, we're not interested in generalizations here. We're interested in finding the exact northwest corner, the exact spot where California ends and Oregon begins.
Okay, we can do that for you.
And knowing that bit of information, you have already raised a very interesting question.
Well, we do. We think we have a no man's land here because right here is the sign that says welcome to Oregon, but across the street it says welcome to California, and you'll notice in between there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it looks like 21 feet of no man's land.
So wait a minute, right here, there's the welcome to California sign, there's the welcome to Oregon sign. We're standing, where are we?
I think we might be in the state of Jefferson, which Chris Haynes could tell you about.
What is the state of Jefferson?
Well, the state of Jefferson was a movement by the northern counties of California and southern counties of Oregon to secede from their respective states. They were just being ignored by the capitals and wanted to get their own state going.
When was this going?
1941 was really the heyday of it. They actually set up a couple of roadblocks to hand out tokens, and then World War II started and kind of fizzled the movement. But there's still the sentiment around here.
So we could be in the state of Jefferson right now.
Maybe this is it, and maybe we should open up a real estate office because you've got 21 feet of California, and this is a state where real estate's very valuable.
Now, all kidding aside, what is this right here? Why aren't the signs lined up exactly?
Well, we just discovered that minutes ago when we got here because there's been a long-running controversy about this corner of the state boundary actually being offset a little bit, and we think that there was a mistake. And this morning we talked to the guy from the Agricultural Inspection Station just down the road, and he's quite certain that the error began when they did the surveying over 100 years ago, that in eastern Oregon, where they started the survey, it's supposed to follow the 42nd parallel, 42 degrees north of the equator. Well, the survey crew got drunk one night, and they got off-centered, and they made mistakes that followed the entire border of California from eastern Oregon all the way to the coast.
Really?
And if you look at most maps of California in really specific atlases, they'll show that that parallel runs obviously from the east to the west, but the border actually dips below the parallel and then comes above it and then comes below it again right here.
So this place is all messed up.
Yeah, it's been a controversy for quite a long time. The 42nd parallel was originally the boundary between the Spanish and British empires on the west coast of North America. It was an arbitrary line they just decided on.
So everything north of the 42nd parallel was British.
British, and south was Spanish and later Mexican.
So the border is actually supposed to be parallel with the 42nd parallel.
Exactly.
So it's the 42nd parallel right here?
Theoretically it should be, but actually the sign should be lined up.
Yeah,
if that's
the
the
sign
case.
should say, "Welcome to California," and then right across here, it should say, "Welcome to Oregon." There shouldn't be this space in between.
There shouldn't be, and in most states there isn't a space. And
So what if we had a little house here? Would we have to pay taxes to anybody? This is the place to live right
yes,
here.
it is.
Look, because there's the Oregon sign. And where?
Look through the trees, there's a house right here in the no man's land. I wonder what they do. We should go ask them.
This is amazing. Well, this is going to be more fun than we thought it was going to be. You have found a marker.
A cement post with a steel pipe encased in it that was put probably in the 20s or 30s.
To mark the
to
border.
Mark the actual border.
Now, that was done probably scientifically, a lot more scientifically than where the, Caltrans and whatever their equivalent in Oregon is put up the signs. Where is that marker?
It's right off in the woods, just on the other side of the California sign.
So we're going to cross over Highway 101, try not to get hit by a car, go into the wet woods, and find the marker. Let's go. There's no traffic coming right now. All right, now according to the sign right here, we are now in California, and we're going into the woods to find the official marker to find out exactly where the state begins. Oh my gosh, how did you ever find this place back here?
We're geographers.
Oh, look at this. Oh, this is beautiful. Look at this, Louis. Look up here. These are wonderful. Now, these are redwoods, aren't
These are Sitka spruce.
These are
And,
what?
Sitka spruce and lowland grand fir.
Oh,
They grow right on the beach like this.
these are absolutely beautiful trees.
And the Sitka spruce, they grow in our backyard in Arcata right next to the university, and they grow all the way up to the Gulf of Alaska.
And look at this over here, the moss on the trees.
It's the rainforest.
It's the rainforest.
100 inches of rain a year.
Yeah, now didn't you tell us that this border also marks a demarcation line for the redwoods?
Sure. In fact, the native range of the redwoods starts in the Central Coast Ranges, well south of Monterey and San Francisco area, but it reaches the trees reach their peak in density and height and quality of the tree right up in Del Norte and Humboldt counties, and the native range stops right here at the border. There's a few of them that trickle over into Oregon. We gave them just a few, but really the coast redwood, as well as the giant big trees in the Sierra, it's a California tree.
So they literally stop at the border.
At the border, you're right.
Boy, this is just a beautiful little place right in here. It's also kind of dry in here. No rain can get through.
Well,
that's another benefit of being in the
Yeah.
trees. All right, now we're going on back. Oh my gosh. Look at these. Look over here, Louis, at these ferns. This is beautiful too. This is native to this part of the state.
this is the bracken fern. In fact, it grows circumpolar in the sense that you'll see monkeys eating this in South America.
Really?
Yeah, it has a tremendous geographic range.
And they can survive in this kind of in the wetness and the coldness of this, and in South America.
Yes, they can. It's a hardy fern.
Wow. Boy, they're everywhere through here. Oh my gosh. We're not even in a state park or anything, are we?
No, we're just in a roadside, but that's the North Coast. It's all pretty much of a garden.
Because this is as beautiful as any park you would go through.
Well, we think so, but be careful. You're going to trip on the border.
Oh my gosh, look. That's it?
That's it.
Now, tell us the story of this thing.
This was put in to replace a cedar post, a 4-inch cedar post that was put in the 1860s, 1868 or 69 in one of the original surveys. So in the 1920s or 30s, this cement post with the steel pipe coming out the center was put in. And it had concrete going down the center of the pipe, but it's seen its weather.
Now, this was put here, let's stand over here, gentlemen, behind it, because this was put here by, what, geographers, state people? I mean,
it's the U.S. Coast and Geodetic Survey, and they're an arm of the Department of Interior, and they're the ones that have placed border markers as well as geodetic survey markers all over the United States. You can find,
mark the demarcation line between state and state.
Yeah, but also to mark elevation and mountaintops and other important geographic features along our township and range system.
You said there probably used to be a brass top on that, but that's
yeah.
been taken by, obviously, someone from Oregon probably took it, not somebody from California would have done anything like that.
No. In fact, I was thinking it got misplaced, but when you really look at this, you will go down. Yeah, there's no way.
So this is the official marker right here.
Well, what's left of it, and I'll bet somebody took a sledgehammer to it, because these brass plates, which look really good in your mantle, not that I have any, but they're up in the Sierra. They try to pry them off of Mount Whitney and Mount Lyell and Yosemite. Yeah. You can see them, but they're very hard to get off. So someone really put some effort into it.
And this is where our second controversy begins, because the first one, which you all have raised, being the troublemaker geographers that you are, was what happened in that distance between the two state signs.
Right.
You came out here and you found this. Now pull the thing out of your pocket that you're going to show everybody. This is your little GPS reader.
Right. It triangulates from satellites, and it gives the most accurate reading of latitude and longitude.
All right, so we're going to set it for right here and see what it says.
That's right. In fact, we could set it right on the marker. And it's supposed to say, because the boundary runs along that 42nd parallel, it should say 42 degrees right on the nose.
Well, let's pick it up and see what it says.
But when we look at it, what do you see?
It says 41 degrees, 59
minutes. No, 59 minutes, okay, 41 degrees, 59 minutes, and 55 seconds.
So that means we're 5 seconds off.
That's right.
This thing is wrong.
It's wrong. It was put in the wrong place, just like those signs back there.
Oh my gosh. I wonder if anybody knows this except us.
Well, I think it's a new discovery. I do.
You know what? When they did this, they didn't have the GPS. They didn't have this.
No, they're triangulating from the ground, and it was not as accurate. In fact, the National Geographic Society and several other agencies have just cooperated to redo the height of Mount Everest, and Everest has grown now by 8 feet.
So everything is changing just a little. So we've got 5 seconds, which means what in distance?
Oh, probably 500 feet.
So we're 500 feet off here. In which direction?
Well, this is 41 degrees, 59 minutes, 55 seconds north. And we have to go to 42 north, which means we've got to head this direction to the north.
So we're too far south. Head out where? Down through, we can't go through. Look at this. This is like hacking our way through the jungle here.
Yes, it looks like some of our backyards.
Are we going to go through there?
Well, we could go up and go to the Winchuck River along the road and then come back on the beach. So we would actually go north, well into Oregon, and then turn around and come back. We'll have to follow the GPS, though, because we're going to be on an open beach.
Boy. So we're getting ready to go out. Well, the beach is just right out. The ocean is just right out here.
Right. But if we find and we get exactly to 42 degrees and we have one toe in the surf, that will be the northwest corner that you are looking for.
Oh, wow. I tell you what, I hate to leave this. Look at this area out here. This is a paradise here with the moss and the ferns and the trees, and you can hear the surf in the background. I know you all live up here and you take it for granted, but for those of us visiting from the south, just to see, look at this tree. This is just, and look how this goes down into here. Look at these trees right here. This is just beautiful, beautiful stuff.
We don't take it for granted.
We're happy to have you. This is our special corner of the state.
Okay, we've come back out onto Highway 101, and we're stopping here for a reason.
Yeah, it looks like the Myrtlewood Gifts and State Line Hotel are actually in California, yet they say they're in Oregon.
So according to your calculations that we're going to prove later on, we're in California now, even though the sign says we're in Oregon.
That's correct.
And you don't think these people know that yet?
I don't think they do, and I bet you they're paying their taxes to Oregon. They should be paying them to Sacramento.
Well, they probably want to pay them to Oregon. It's probably less taxes, isn't it?
I think it is.
But you can tell you think that they know they're in Oregon? Myrtlewood. We call it California Bay Laurel on this side of the border. It's Myrtlewood on the Oregon side of the border. Same tree.
You're kidding.
No, same tree. They wouldn't call it California Bay Laurel if you made them. It's Myrtlewood over there. So they think they're in Oregon.
We should go in there and inform them that they're thinking they're in the wrong state.
I think so.
Wait a minute, come over here. These are the people who live in that house. Howdy. How you doing? You live in this house up here?
Actually, no, I got a business back here.
Well, we were just doing, these fellas over here are geography professors from Humboldt State down in Arcata.
Okay.
And they've done calculations that show that California actually extends quite a ways this way. You're in California there, not in Oregon.
Don't say that. I had to start paying California taxes.
See? No, have you ever heard this before?
No.
Come here and explain it to him.
Well, we have a global positioning unit here that's dead on accurate because it's done by satellites. And it turns out that these signs and the boundary marker back there are about half a geographic second south. They're off. And they're too far south. And in fact, California begins about 500 feet north of here.
Oh, okay. Well, I own property on the other side of the Windchuck. You're really starting to scare me.
No, the Windchuck, you're safe.
Okay.
Yeah. But this house in the Myrtlewood really belongs in California.
Is that right? Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. Okay.
And the house you came out of does.
You don't sound too overjoyed about this.
No, I'm not.
You consider yourself an Oregonian?
Yeah. If I wanted to live in California, I'd live in California, and I'd rather live in Oregon.
Well, I hate to tell you, welcome to California.
Good deal.
Whether you want to be here or not. Now, we're getting all kind of mixed signals here because here we are at least 500 feet down from the Welcome to California sign, and we're supposedly in Oregon, and here is the California poppy right here.
That's right. But I don't think we're really in Oregon yet. This is proof positive that we're still in California.
Yeah, because we got our state flower here.
Exactly.
And what is the GPS thing?
Exactly, 42 degrees north latitude. Exactly.
So
right
we're
on.
standing right on the line right now.
We are.
Well, the poppies are supposed to be here.
Poppies are supposed to be here. In fact, if we look, due east, this is the imaginary line for the native range of the redwoods, too, except for those few that spilled over.
And we might say that the owner of the Del Kerr Supply Co-op came out here when the camera was not on, and we informed him that he was no longer in Oregon, but his business was in California. And it's a good thing our camera wasn't on because he wasn't too happy about it, was he?
No, he wasn't. In fact, he wanted us to go away. And when we didn't, he went away.
I've never heard an Oregonian use such language as this gentleman used.
It does raise an interesting question because actually, if he's on the border, half of his store is in Oregon and half in California. He should probably be paying taxes to both of them.
states.
Yeah, I think so. Let's go tell him.
Oh, you go tell him. I'm not going back in there.
It's St. Louis.
Okay, the adventure continues. We're now a little bit off of the highway, going through another one of these jungle adventures down here. Tell us exactly where we are now, Chris.
We're coming onto the south bank of the Windchuck River, a small little coastal stream. Jedediah Smith camped on the north bank in 1828 on his journey up the coast.
Oh boy, this has another whole feel to it here.
We're
Another cold, wet field, though, I might mention. I think definitely we're in Oregon, because this is Oregon weather, isn't
Yes,
it?
it is. It's really rainy here and cold and a little windy. It's not quite so
So
sunny.
we need to go back across the line where California is and where the sun is shining.
We should find, let's check and make sure. Yes, we are definitely in Oregon. We're almost 2 full geographic seconds north of California.
So where are we going now to find this spot?
We're going to head out to the mouth of the Windchuck and then just head down the beach, and we'll walk until we come to the border.
To the exact spot.
The exact spot. With our toes in the surf, right there on the line, we'll be at the corner of California.
Now, look at this. Is this normal for beaches up here? All of this, look at all this driftwood over here.
Yeah, it's quite normal. The debris comes down every winter in high winter flows and stacks up in the surf and just jams up here in the mouths. People come down and cut firewood, or you see the burl shops on the highway selling burls or cut wood.
Look at the size of these logs.
Well, no telling what river drainage this one particular log came out of. They come down all the major rivers in Oregon and California. Sometimes just debris flows from the typical winter rain, sometimes from the remnants of logging. If you're looking at it from a logging perspective, it has a cut end on it over here, so
Boy,
probably
that's
it was
a big tree.
It was a tree, but notice all the branches and the crooked grain, so it's not a desirable tree for timber. So they might have just left it there, and then it eventually washes down the river to the ocean.
Now this one is cut. Oh, whoa. It's also dangerous out
Yes,
here,
it
isn't
is.
it? Look at this one.
That looks like it might have been an old dock piling somewhere. Could have been up in Brookings or down in Crescent City, and then just battered by the surf, washes up on the beach. These things bob around in the ocean, can bob around for years out there in the ocean, and you can find them a couple 100 miles offshore.
You're
floating
kidding.
around. And
This big?
This big. They're a hazard if you're a tuna fisherman or somebody out there running around. They can present a problem, and eventually they'll work their way up on the beach.
I'm just looking over your shoulder over here. This one, there's metal
Yeah, it looks like we got a
right
piece
here.
of a-
What is this?
It's like a piece of a choker cable from the logging industry. They tie the cables around them and pull them up the hill to their landings. And
So this would have come from up in the
most
mountains.
likely came from the Windchuck River up here.
And this is like an endless supply.
Every year, new debris comes down. Old debris out in the ocean washes up. It gets buried by sand, unburied. It comes and goes. And it's an important industry here, the burl industry. You may see the little roadside stands
Where they
selling
cut
burls
things
and
with
cut-
saws out of
Exactly,
the
exactly.
burls.
So
Well,
it's,
it just goes on, and I tell you what, it's beautiful in its own way. It's almost like a display of art out here.
it is. And it's a popular place for people to come poke around in the winter. You find little artifacts that have washed up in with the driftwood after storms occur. It's a popular activity. Come up here and beachcomb and poke around in the driftwood piles.
It's a sandy beach, kind of a dark sand.
It's a finer sand than the rest further south. It's more silt that has come out of the Windchuck River drainage. Very common high sediment in our rivers up here, so you find this kind of sand along all of the beaches.
Well, it's definitely different than anything we're used to down south.
Yeah, it is.
Why are you laughing?
Well, yes, it's not Southern California anymore, Huell. You've come a long ways.
Yeah, we have. And we've still got, well, a pretty good distance to go, but we're almost there.
Yeah, in fact, what we can do, I think when we hit the beach, we're going to need to turn due south. And it should be a straight shot, and we can just pace it off till we hit the 42nd parallel in what should be the true corner of California.
Now, Chris, as we've reached the shoreline here, you pointed out something that's very interesting right over here.
Well, typical of our north coast beaches are barrier spits that block off the river from going directly out into the ocean. And the tides, at high tide, it backs the water way up into the estuary. That's important to have habitat for salmon fingerlings coming to the ocean or adult salmon coming back to spawn in the rivers. The estuaries are the critical part of the mouth or the river system, the ecosystem, the change from salt to fresh water.
So all this is very important.
Very important part of the process. And at low tide, as we have now here, the water is racing out here to the ocean and emptying the lagoon out, and then at high tide it'll all back up into it. And you see these big cobblestone gravels. These are really what we want in these river systems. This is what the salmon and the steelhead go for in their spawning. They've got to have this kind of a gravel system in the river.
So none of this is here by accident.
Oh no, this is a very nice watershed, the Winchuck River. It's had some logging upstream, but it's pretty pristine shape. It's got a good water flow. It's been several good wet winters to keep the water flow.
Well, we're having another wet spring coming on right now. What are you taking all these pictures for?
Well, I'm taking pictures because it's an interesting phenomenon that we can show in class, but also because we have such a famous TV personality here in the North Coast for us.
Sure. And this is a historic moment.
It is a
This is going to be in some geographic journal, I'm
think
sure.
so. The California Geographer, which is the geography journal of the State Geographic Society, because this will be the first time that the northwest corner has been accurately determined.
So really, we've been kidding about this, but the truth of the matter is we're uncovering a bit of information here, aren't we?
Well,
I mean, more than a bit. This is serious stuff.
Yeah, we are. In fact, we tried to do some library research on this, and we only came up with one article that Chris found, and he can tell you about it.
It was a mid-1950s article that came out of, I think, the Del Norte County Historical Society that talked about the disparities and where the border was, and that's it.
Do you think that this could cause an actual border change?
Well, given, borders are cultural, really. I mean, there are physical borders like mountain ranges and oceans, but borders are primarily cultural, especially when they're drawn arbitrarily. And so this was taken in 1819 to be this 42nd parallel. And then superimposed on that has been the Oregon Society and the California Society and the tax code and the roads.
So this really isn't going to change anything. These poor people we've been scaring to death by telling them they're going to have to start paying California taxes. This probably wouldn't really ever happen, would it?
Well, if it does, we want them to talk with you and not with us. All right.
If anybody in Sacramento sees this, believe me, they'll try to get taxes out of these poor people up here. All right, how close are we? Get your GPS thing out here.
Okay, we are a second and a half north of the California border. So it reads 42 degrees and 16 seconds.
All right, so we've still got a couple of degrees.
Well, yeah, we've got 15 geographic seconds, or 1.5 geographic seconds, or about 1,500 feet to walk off.
Boy, I tell you what, we have seen we've been joking about the rain and the fog and all of this.
A couple of black oyster catchers out there on the sand spit.
Those are black oyster catchers.
Black oyster catchers. They got a bright red bill on them.
Uh-huh. Okay, we're getting close.
Yes, we're within 1/10 of 1 geographic second of the 42nd parallel.
So it's somewhere just right here.
Yeah, probably right where those seagulls are, just up ahead of us, within 90 feet.
Boy, this is, you know what? We've been making a lot of fun out of this, but it kind of feels dramatic, doesn't it?
It does. This is the spot, the corner, the northwest corner at low tide.
We've hit it.
This is it?
This is it. It just changed to 42 degrees north of the equator. This is, if I take one step back, right where it changed.
Wait a minute, this is Oregon. Let's get in Oregon.
Okay, this
Come
is
on
Oregon.
over here, Chris. This is Oregon.
This is Oregon.
Right here.
Right. And if we take one giant leap for Californians, we're in our home state.
Ha! I feel better already.
I do too.
It's quit raining.
Yeah, it's lovely.
The temperature went up about 15 degrees.
Yeah.
So did the taxes. They went up about 15%.
Yes, they did. I feel home, though.
Boy, you do feel home.
Yeah, it's great to be home.
Now, we got a ceremony here.
Well, I think so. And
the Geography Department at Humboldt State.
We sprung for a California flag, and we think that you should be the one to place it.
And what we're doing is, we're visiting all the corners of California. This is the first. We're going to be visiting all of them, and each one of them is unique, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And this one certainly is unique because of the climate and the vegetation and the redwoods, but also the isolation. And we revel in being North Coasters.
Yeah. We've been making a lot of fun of the rain and the cold and the wind. But even on a day like this, the beauty and the wonder and the isolation coming from Southern California where there's so many people, to be up here on a beach on a day like this and experience this quiet and this wonder, you really have to appreciate what this corner is all about.
I think so. Well said.
All right, here we go. Where do we put it? Where is the spot?
Right about the surf edge. That's as far
Right
west
here.
as we can go.
This is as far west and as far north, come on gentlemen, as we could go and still be in California.
Right there.
Right here.
That's where the last wave was, right there.
So here we go. We're going to take this flag with us to all the corners.
Okay.
So when we get through with this journey, this flag will have visited all the corners of California. But here we are. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're honored to be the first.
Boy, this is an honor and an exciting moment to be here on the very northwest corner of California. Our flag is flying proudly right here on the corner.
And you notice with a northwest wind.
Well, hello everybody, I'm Huell Hauser, and I sure hope you enjoyed this adventure to the exact northwest corner of our state. Now, if you'd like to see it again or share it with family or friends, it's available on video cassette and on DVD. And there's also a special DVD of all of our adventures to all 5 of California's corners. And believe me, each one is unique. It's a Corners extravaganza. And to order, all you have to do is call 1-800-266-5727, and we'll be glad to send it to you right away.
Road Trip with Huell Hauser has been made possible by the Automobile Club of Southern California.
Wherever you're headed on your next road trip, the Auto Club knows the territory. For travel tips or comprehensive destination information, as well as booking your next family vacation, our website is a great first stop on any journey, no matter how far away your destination may be. Through all life's travels, we're always with you.